question for the farmers in Arkansas who are begging for government handouts. Weren't you the crowd that wanted to take away benefits from hungry school kids? Weren't you guys cheering on the end of USAID? Weren't you guys happy about WIC going away? Because you didn't think that people should be receiving government handouts. You were all like, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But now you feel entitled to government handouts? So socialism for me and not for thee? Do you even know how hypocritical that sounds? There's a saying my grandmother taught me, and it definitely applies to farmers in Arkansas. You reap what you sow, and what you sowed was hate. And now you are losing everything. I'm not happy about that. My step-grandparents were farmers. I grew up visiting a dairy farm every week. I know farmers work hard, but I also know farmers tend to be very stuck in old-fashioned thinking. And it's time for you to wake up. That's what we mean when we say woke. Wake up and see how your hate is actually negatively impacting not just the lives of other innocent people, but you. Do I think the government is going to actually come through and give farmers a handout? Probably. But should you take it when you've already denied those kinds of help to innocent school kids, starving kids overseas? I don't think so.
Good morning. Got a little farming news for y'all. You may or may not know China is the United States' biggest customer for our soybean crop. We need trade deals with them pretty bad because they buy the biggest majority of our soybeans. Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they'll raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. Well, this week, Argentina lifted a tax, a commodities export tax. I don't know the exact name of what it was. They lifted a tax on exporting commodities, grains, stuff like that. Well, in 2 days' time, China made a really good business deal. They bought 84 million bushels of soybeans from Argentina. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time. Good business move by China. Don't blame them at all there. Well, in the meantime, Argentina stopped that, put tax back on because they hit their quota. Well, last night there was some kind of meeting. I don't know what all went down, but I know the biggest part of it that went down. The Argentina economy is pretty horrible. The peso is way below the dollar right now. They done a deal with the United States for some kind of line swap, pretty much a loan. The United States is about to send $20 billion to Argentina. Argentina is going to send $20 billion worth of their peso, which is not worth the same amount as our dollar is. So we're getting kind of the raw end of the deal on that one. And another thing about Argentina, they're not the best in the business about paying their bills back. They're kind of like your sister's boyfriend that don't got no job and don't really like to pay for nothing and rides off of everybody else. That's kind of the way Argentina is. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer? I don't understand the deal. I don't know what's going on. I ain't trying to make this political. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you voted for Trump, if you didn't vote for Trump, even if you did, there comes a time you need to start holding people accountable. I don't understand what's going on, but they need to get their head out of their rear end and start helping out the United States and their farming economy before they go to helping South America and other farming economies. I don't know. That don't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, that's just, it bees like that sometimes. You'll have that on them big jobs, but that's the big news. China ain't bought a single bushel from the United States this year. They just bought 84 million bushels from Argentina in 2 days. And the United States thought it was a good idea to go ahead and loan Argentina $20 billion just so their economy can do a little bit better. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong by being a little upset or pissed off, but I hope y'all have a great day. If you don't mind, hit that old like and follow and all that good jazz over there. Y'all get after it, baby.
Hey everyone, it's Leek back again with another reaction. Today we are talking about Arkansas MAGA farmers who are absolutely furious because their promise from the US government are not fulfilled. Remember that credit goes to the owner of the video. We got more video like this. I will come back with a comment. Let's get into it.
So I've been seeing videos on here where people are sharing what's going on with the farmers in Arkansas. I don't care that they are on the verge of losing their farms, and I certainly don't care that they have to file bankruptcy by the end of this year, so they say. And the reason for all this is because of the tariffs. It's becoming too expensive to keep up with the farming. Well, you voted for this. And let's not forget, under the Biden administration, they had many subsidies and financial assistance in place to help farmers under the Department of Agriculture. Why would a farmer vote against that? You get what you vote for. And no one cares that you are getting ready to file bankruptcy. You should have thought about that when you voted against Kamala. I don't feel sorry.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own. DC plans to send Argentina $20 billion in economic assistance. And what does Argentina do? They cut their export taxes and sold shiploads of soybeans to China in just 2 days. Meanwhile, farmers right here in Arkansas are left behind with falling prices and no market. I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life, until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us. Politicians like Tom Cotton are letting DC put Argentina over places like Arkansas. As a farmer myself, that is something I would not allow. I will fight for trade policies that put Arkansas farmers first, every time. I'm Hallie Schaffner. I'm the 6th-generation Arkansas farmer running to unseat Tom Cotton in the U.S. Senate.
Listen to me. Racism is the poison in Arkansas soil. That's right, racism. Last week, hundreds of Arkansas farmers stood in a room and broke down in prayer in front of their elected officials. They weren't praying for rain, guys. They weren't praying for sunshine. They weren't even praying for a bumper crop. They were praying because their farms, their family land, their way of life is collapsing under tariffs and trade wars. And here's the truth. Those tariffs, that trade war, that whole playbook was born out of racism. Farmers were told the story that punishing foreigners would make America strong again. They were told to clap when leaders wagged their finger at China, Mexico, or whoever else they decided was the villain of the week. They were told it was patriotism, but really it was racism dressed up in red, white, and blue, and farmers bought it. They cheered it. They co-signed it. And now they are the ones paying the bill. Look at soybeans. Without tariffs, U.S. beans leaving New Orleans are cheaper than Brazil. But with tariffs, suddenly Brazil is winning. And who did that? Not God, not nature, not fate. Your own leaders waving a racist flag and calling it strength. And the farmers who clapped for it are now on their knees begging for help. This isn't the first time. History is packed with proof that racism bankrupts the very people it fuels. Jim Crow didn't just brutalize black citizens. It strangled the Southern economy for generations. Segregation didn't just rob black kids of opportunity. It robbed the entire South of progress, creativity, and prosperity. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1880s, it cut off immigrant labor that helped build America, leaving industries starved. Japanese internment during World War II, well, that destroyed businesses, farms, and families, and the whole economy bore the cost. Every single time America lets racism drive policy, the poison spreads. It never just hits the target. It always circles back. And now here we are again. Farmers in Arkansas prayed out loud last week because they're broke, and they know it. And some of them voted for this mess. Some of them cheered when the tariffs went into place because they thought It would put others in their place. But you can't hate and expect to harvest prosperity. You cannot poison your neighbor's well without eventually drinking from it yourself. So let's call this what it is. Racism is the poison in your soil. It's why your crops can't compete. It's why your barns are empty. It's why you bowed your head in front of men in suits who don't care about you at all beyond your vote. Racism doesn't just starve the people you think are your enemies, it starves you. Arkansas, this is your wake-up call. You can pray all you want, but you have to face the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. Racism isn't strength, it's weakness. It's not power, it's poison. It's killing your farms, your family, and your future. Please wake up.
This is what's happening when you trust promises instead of policy. 60% of farmers from Arkansas have voted for Trump because they believe it's going to help them to increase, because they believe Trump is going to take their agriculture industry to another level. However, they forget that he's the one who said that he's going to do massive deportation from different states of United States. They forget that those people who are immigrants are the one who work for them. They forget that Trump, he always create war between China and USA. So when Trump got power, is the one who started trade war with different countries. This is why many Americans farmers are now affected. Arkansas are one of them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I need you blue state liberals to stop calling the farmers who voted for their own personal financial ruin stupid. It's infantilizing. They aren't stupid. To actually manage a farm effectively requires insane depths of knowledge in math, science, logistics. These people aren't dumb. But what they are learning for, I think, in some cases, the first time in their lives, is how expensive racism is. They heard Trump loud and clear when he said that he would deport their labor force and that he would tariff essentially all of the inputs they need to run their facilities. And they absolutely heard him when he claimed over and over again that the US gave too much to the world in aid. And therefore those aid streams, which most often include the food these farmers grow, would be cut. They heard it all. They just didn't believe it. They thought this was just Trump 1.0 and there would be enough adults in the room to say, hey, this is reckless. We can't do this because it will dismantle the economy. Yeah, a lot of farmers were hurt during the first Trump administration. Thanks to his reckless trade wars, particularly with China, a lot of them went bankrupt. And the bailouts that originally happened under Trump's first term didn't mostly even go to these small-scale farmers. It ended up going to big agribusiness. And I have a feeling, if past is prologue, we're gonna see that happen again if bailouts happen at all. Because the reality is these people do not actually want to save these small-scale farms. People in this admin, like J.D. Vance, very specifically invested in things like Acre Trader. Their goal is for these farmers to go bankrupt so that they can consolidate, buy up huge swaths of their land, and make a fortune. So I'm not gonna lie to you, there is very little incentive for anybody in this administration to actually give these farmers a bailout, no matter how angry and white and male they are. I doubt there are any farmers listening to this at the moment, but the billionaires do not care about you. They actually just want to take your stuff. So even if a bailout does come, and I doubt an effective one will, but if it does, it is going to be meager enough to keep these people in dire financial straits. Because the goal of a lot of these billionaires and investment firms is to make them desperate enough to sell. So you can say goodbye to small-scale family farms, that's for sure. What's kind of funny about this is that Let's Go Brandon tried to bail you out for real. And that's probably the last time anyone will, so.
This is what's happened to you when you're driven by hate. Most of the people who voted for Trump are the one who believe Trump is going to take them to another level because they believe Trump is going to kick, Black, Latino, Asian out of United States. They forget about their business. They're just driven by hate. So, I think you guys, you get what you voted for. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. See you on another one.